not familiar with Navigate, I think most of the people on the line here today are, but I'll give you just a little overview. So Navigate is a program that is a partnership between Grenfell campus and College of the North Atlantic. And we help entrepreneurs from the early startup stage on through prototype and product development through the makerspace and onward to commercialization and implementation with the Business Incubation Center or Business Incubator and the Entrepreneurship Center. Carol has another slide there. Perfect. So Navigate's divided into 3 different service pillars. The Entrepreneurship Center is for early stage startups, right from the idea phase and sort of education awareness, networking onwards. That is located both at the Grenfell campus and the CNA campus in Corner Brook. Then we also have the Makerspace, which is a space where you can work on prototypes and product development and test your products and ideas. And then the Business Incubator for new startups to help them accelerate and expand their business. And so the Makerspace is located on Grenfell campus, and the Business Incubator is combined with the Entrepreneurship Center at the CNA Corner Brook campus. We also have, normally, we have office spaces available for entrepreneurs who've just started their businesses, and there's a co-working space in the incubator as well. Right now, all 3 spaces are currently closed, physically closed due to coronavirus, set to reopen in January. And for the moment, we're offering our services virtually. So this is just a little snapshot here of what Corner Brook startup ecosystem looks like. As you can see, we've got a lot of services available, and a lot of people are on this call today, from Enlo to Vede, etc. So we Navigate, along with these other organizations, helps to connect you to the different parts of the ecosystem that you need along your entrepreneurial journey. All right, so we can save, if anyone has any questions about Navigate proper, we can save them for the end of the presentation. I really want to focus today on our guests, Robbie and Sam. But what I will do is put my email address in chat. If anyone wants to reach out to me and has specific questions, or you're interested in starting or expanding your business, by all means, please do contact me. So I'll just stick that over in chat here, and then I'll hand it up back to Carol and Robbie.
Thank you, Allison. Yes, so as Allison indicated, this is we're kind of ahead of the game by doing virtual testing and piloting of some virtual services back in January. And so it was very easy for us to continue in the virtual space. And we're very pleased to have everyone joining us today. So Robbie, I'm going to turn it over to yourself and Sam to introduce and take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Carol. Thanks, Allison, for having myself and Sam on today. Much appreciated. So yeah, I'm just going to do a quick intro, and I've got a bunch of stuff to run through, some of the things that our clients have experienced at Sprout Marketing. You know, some of the winners of the bunch, some changes that have been made, partnerships that have been formed, and that sort of thing, just to give you an idea of what our clients have been doing. Also talk a little bit about Gross Morning Ventures and tourism, and specifically marketing related to tourism. So first off, Sprout Marketing, we're a small agency based in Corner Brook. So we're a team of 4. It's myself and Sam Martin, who you see on the screen, Ali Johnston. So 3 of us work full time, and then we also have Jamie Fowlo, who works on some projects for us. So we have various specialties. Social media, you know, that's what we started out with, and that's what we continue to specialize in today. You know, from content creation all the way to like advanced Facebook and Instagram ads. Graphic design, photography, copywriting, the list kind of goes on, and you know, some industry specialties as well, you know, would include tourism and car dealerships, some retailers. Those make up, you know, the bulk of some of our clients. Our clients are mostly in Western Newfoundland, or they have a presence in Western Newfoundland, and a broad range of industries, from home improvement to car dealerships, retail, tourism. And they all, you know, fall under one or both of these categories. They either don't have the time or they don't have the expertise to handle their marketing on a regular basis. So they all kind of fall in there somewhere. So Sam, I'll just do a quick intro. So Sam Martin, she works with Sprout Marketing. She's a phenomenal photographer excellent content creator, and she joined us today just to offer some advice on creating visual content. So thanks for coming in, Sam, and she'll chime in a little bit later. Anything you want to say?
Nah, I'll leave it till later.
All right. Sounds good. So yeah, I'll speak mainly from Sprout Marketing perspective, since this is about online marketing through COVID and you know the effects that it's had on some businesses and how they've got through it. But I'll also give some insight on Grossmore Adventures. So myself and my wife Kristen, we're the owners of Grossmore Adventures in beautiful Grossmore National Park, on the waterfront in Norris Point. So we offer a bunch of different services, marine adventures, including kayak tours, paddleboard tours, Zodiac adventures, multi-day backpacking trips, and multi-day hiking vacations, amongst a few other things, cafe, and private guiding services. So we've gone down two different roads here, you know, different industries. Obviously with tourism, we rely heavily on marketing, online marketing. And throughout the whole pandemic, we've, you know, experienced a lot of different things that we've tried to get through. So yeah, I'm going to try to keep it positive. There is a bit of doom and gloom in this, but I'll try to put a positive spin on things as much as possible because we all want to hear the good stuff, right? Thanks everyone for coming on. Some familiar names here: Lexi, Emily, Christie from Go Western, and a few others that I don't recognize. So it's a good mix of people here. So thanks for coming out. So how both of our businesses have been affected by the pandemic. So first off, Sprout Marketing, we were already experts at working from home. So not a lot changed there. You know, we all work from home offices. We collaborate on a regular basis, mostly in person, say once a week. So once the pandemic came down, you know, everything shifted to virtual. Okay. It was a bit of an interruption with clients. Clients like to see our faces fairly often, and you know we would generally pop in and out of there. Sam, you know, frequently pops into businesses just to chat, like from an account management perspective, or to you know take photos, and even like you know go into their customers' homes or places of business to take photos and develop visual content. So that kind of came to a halt. And then everything was online. So it was like Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting. And we definitely experienced digital fatigue, which I know you guys already covered in one of these coffee breaks. So digital fatigue was real. It was like the new trendy thing to like get on Zoom calls. And the first week was great. And then after that, like people just started to get tired of it. And people just who we wouldn't do face-to-face meetings with before wanted to do Zoom calls. So I'm, you know, after a while I started questioning it, and then we already spend a ton of time in front of screens, so we really tried to limit that. So our face-to-face digital meetings turned into like just scheduled phone calls, good old-fashioned phone calls. So you know, we enjoyed those as a way to kind of get away from our computers and our devices as well. So you know, we lost some clients, but all temporarily. So we're really happy to say that you know, none of our clients closed their doors. Some of them closed temporarily, opened back up, and we're still a part of their day-to-day marketing. So we're really happy to say that. You know, some of them may not be back to 100% capacity, but you know they're getting there. So yeah, one thing, tourism businesses in particular, there was the decision, you know, to either open or not to open, or open under reduced capacity. And we found that a lot of those people who have decided to not open or open at reduced capacity have, you know, approached us, or some of them have approached us to do marketing work. So people are going down the road of like, okay, we have lots more time on our hands. So let's knock off those projects that, you know, have been at the bottom of the to-do list for quite some time. So we're doing a lot of like rebranding, you know, logo refresh, you know, social media upgrade, social media advertising, and then new websites that we don't do directly in-house, but we partner with J. Osmond Design to do website jobs. So Grossmore Adventures, we had the best year ever on record booked for the 2020 season. And then COVID happened, and then we went to zero. So 85% of everything was canceled right off the bat, and then we held on to so many bookings. We still have some bookings, that weren't canceled in September, but they're likely not going to happen. So we went from having, the best year ever to nothing, and then we're questioning, how is this going to look? Are we going to open at all? Like, can we survive? Like, that question, I'm sure, went through everybody's mind who, ran a business throughout this. And then it was, okay, can we open safely? Can we hire limited staff and, rely on the staycation market, stay home year? So it was a lot of collecting information. It was, really stressful to just try to digest all this information and figure out what the right thing was to do for Grossmore Adventures and also for our clients. So all of our messaging changed. So the regular, the rhythm that we got into our clients just completely got scrapped, and we had to start fresh. We spent so much new time, like just developing new messages for people that we've never had to do before. So it was mentally taxing. We got through it. We're getting through it. So things are looking good. So just getting back to Grossmore Adventures. So we went to zero. Staycation came out. We started to market to the Newfoundland market. And now today we're much busier than expected. We had a skeleton crew hired, and now we're up to, I think, 3 Zodiac operators and 8 other guides, aside from myself and Kristen, 2 housekeepers. So we never thought that we'd be here right now. So we're really excited about that. Newfoundlanders and Atlantic Canadians have been extremely supportive of our business, keeping in mind that kayaking, it's easy to social distance. Our Zodiac stuff is all private charters, so you can be on the boat just with your family, with your double bubble or your friends group or whatever that is. So we were perfectly positioned, I'll say, to appeal to like small group travel. That's the way we're set up, and even with our accommodations, we run a 5-unit accommodations that were private, self-contained cottages that you can rent just for your group. So we were in a good position to recover from this. We had to pivot a certain amount, but we're in good shape right now. The next 3 days of tours are completely sold out, and I'm here in Corner Brook taking a day off. All right. So yeah, just Marine Adventures. So Grossmore Adventures, anything that we do on the water. So like kayak, Zodiac, paddleboard, it's all been doing great. Newfoundlanders love that stuff. Like I said, it's easy to follow the pandemic guidelines. We have precautions in place in our shop, such as shields, and we use masks in certain scenarios, and hand sanitizer stations and all that. So we really got out ahead of the game, and more importantly, told our customers about it. That we were working to protect our staff and our customers. However, the certain element, the hiking and backpacking, Newfoundlanders don't want to pay for that stuff. So that market just disappeared altogether. So yeah, we're just going to build on that for next year and hope for the best. So just some observations for some of our clients. So, we work with 15 to 20 clients on a regular basis, on a whole slew of services that I mentioned earlier. So some of our clients had to completely shut down. Others, had to make major changes to their operations. Car dealerships, for instance, showrooms were closed. They couldn't do test drives. They, evolved a little bit to allowing appointments only. And now they're back to somewhat of a normal operation. So they went through, a big dive and then, slowly built their way back up. The volume is still not there. Basically, a lot of it is due to supply. So the manufacturers, their plant shut down. They couldn't supply the vehicles to them quick enough. So now, if you look at some of the parking lots around town, they're fairly empty for the car dealerships. Okay. We have a few clients that are in home improvement business. They have showrooms. They go into clients' homes to measure, to install. They meet face to face. So again, they went through a similar series of steps where Their showrooms are closed. They were leaving samples of flooring on their doorsteps for clients to come pick up. You know, they were getting innovative. They were doing consults through Zoom meetings, so you know the customer could walk them around their home. And that's, you know, one of the positive things that have come out of this. They've realized that the FaceTime and like going to a client's home and talking to them in person, it takes a lot longer than to, you know, schedule a virtual meeting and do a walk through their house. And now they are somewhat limited, but in any case, that's one of the things that people are finding, that they found some efficiencies throughout this whole process. And you hear those stories, you know, on a local scale and on a national, international scale as well, that people are finding out. And Carol, feel free to interject at any point in time if you see something that you want to focus on, then you can cut me off. But I'll just keep going through my notes if not.
No, it's all good so far. But I think
All
you're right. I think some of the new practices are going to stay. You know, people are finding that some of the pivots or some of the slight different ways of operating are actually more efficient, or they've been afraid to do it and it's pushed them into it.
Yeah, most definitely. And I don't know, I guess there's a negative to take away from this, but you know, a lot of people, I found that they've realized how efficient their business can be with less staff. So we found that some people, and not necessarily their clients, but just people I talked to around town, is that they had, you know, they limited their staff and they're like, wow, we can accomplish, you know, a lot more with less staff. But, you know, at the end of the day, that might result in less jobs for people. But I think, you know, those efficiencies can be through a number of different avenues that people are finding. So yeah, just getting back to the home improvements. So, you know, the whole stimulus from the provincial government to offer 25% off for home improvement projects for certified contractors. That was a huge stimulus. These guys were absolutely bombarded. So whether you're a cabinet maker or a siding and windows dealer or a flooring business, they were absolutely bombarded. So they went from shut down to limited staff to this 25% thing, and their phones are ringing off the hooks. Their emails, social media pages are just filling up, and they can't keep up with the number of quotes they have to put out. So that was a whole other slew of communications. Like, we're getting too many phone calls. Let's push everybody to the website. So I'll get into, you know, the communication of all this, and this is where I'm getting. It was key to how you communicate everything through COVID. So the worst possible thing that a business could do is just shut down their social media pages, not update their website, not update their Google My Business throughout all this. It's so important to let customers know, because people were just looking for information. Are you closed? Are you open? What services are you offering? You know, what are your hours? What precautions are you taking for COVID to protect your staff, to protect your employees? So we were, you know, holding clients' hands through a lot of this, and that's what I referred to earlier as to, you know, it was mentally taxing to try to come up with all this new messaging. It's like, how do we say it? Like, people are really sensitive about this, and we need to know the rules for the provincial government rules for COVID and the federal rules. So it was a lot of navigating and, like I said, digesting information from this perspective as well. Do you need to take any special action before you enter the workplace? So yeah, that's a lot of what we did. So a lot of that is, you know, through social media. So how did people communicate this? So, you know, number one, their website. So just the home improvement businesses, for example, like when you click on their websites, you can see there's a banner that says more information on the home renovation rebate for 25% off. Click here. Here's the provincial government regulations. So you're not calling our business time after time after time and chewing up our, you know, valuable hours of staff. Blog posts. So, you know, that's a good place to refer people to. Someone calls, hey, check out our blog post on our website. That gives all the information that you need for this rebate. Social media posts. So a lot of people were just doing like pinned Facebook posts, you know, Instagram stories, and, you know, the highlight section in Instagram. We were creating like a COVID-19 Instagram story highlight, which sounds kind of crazy, but we're saving stories in those highlights. So if somebody flicked on an Instagram page to just cruise through, then they could see the COVID precautions. And just a note here, like frequent and repetitive is okay. Like, you know, most marketing, you don't want to be super repetitive over this, but people are continually asking the same questions. You know, are you open? What services do you offer? You know, can you come to my home or not? Or are you wearing masks and all this stuff? So if you had that in a pinned Facebook post, or you're continually reminding people of that, then that helped a lot. Google My Business, it's, it was big, it still is big for, navigating through this pandemic, as far as updating hours, business information, that sort of thing. So if you're running a business right now and you don't have Google My Business, go get the app, sign up, add photos, add information, continually update it. You can post on Google My Business just as you can post on Facebook. You can link to your website. It helps with indexing. Good segue into the next point, which is all of this communication during COVID. If you're putting this out on a regular basis on your social media feeds, it helps your SEO. It helps your community building for your social media pages. So if you just went dark and someone goes on your page and they don't see anything for the last couple of months, they don't see anything about COVID, that's not helping you from a communication perspective. And it's not helping you from SEO or community building perspective as well. So all that online activity, social media use surged during COVID, and it's still up now, but not what it was back in March and April. Facebook and all their platforms, so Instagram, Messenger, and the others, surged to 3 billion daily active users for the first time back in April. That's scary. I don't even know the percentage increase, but they were somewhere around 2 billion before. So they saw huge increases, or a lot more people sitting around their homes, flicking through social media feeds. It's a great time to market. So yeah, getting into next point, just partnerships. Newfoundlanders love supporting their own, and one of the big things now is this stay home year, staycation. So these guys are being very supportive to tourism businesses. We've seen it from Growthmore Adventures, but from a partnership perspective, marketing, Sprout Marketing, we're seeing businesses create beneficial partnerships to each. So businesses that may not look at each other before or may not see a fit are now, pairing up. So here's a good example, and the guys from Go Western will appreciate this. O'Brien's Boat Tours and Gatheralls, they offer the same services, they operate in the same bay, and they're each run by men who wouldn't argue with me if I called them somewhat egotistical. So what did they do throughout COVID? They have big, expensive boats. They don't know if they have the market. They rely on bus tours. Do they go the cutthroat route? No, they partner with each other. So 2 boat tour operations in Bay Bulls, they said, hey, we're gonna partner. So they created a new brand called Go Tours and co-branded it with O'Brien's and Gatheralls. So when you see their social media posts, it always says Go Tours, Gatheralls, and O'Brien's. So they used one of their boats, they used one of their docks, and they shared staffing. And I'll call it a success. They are active on social media. They're posting about their tours. There's people on their boats. They're experiencing Newfoundland in a different way. So they've shown Newfoundlanders how to, take another look at their province and open their eyes a little bit. So that was one that, I think we were all, really impressed about. Another example, Bond Tours, the biggest tour company in Newfoundland. They're in Norris Point. We're neighbors. So Growthmore Adventures, we have a 12-person Zodiac. We're one of the only people offering any boat tour in Bond Bay during the pandemic. Bond Tours decided not to open this year. We were just bombarded with booking requests. Myself, I was the only operator of the boat, and it got to the point where I said, I can't do all this, and I need operators. So I went to Bond Tours. Their guys are around town. They're not working. The owner of the company told these guys, do whatever you need to do to help these guys out, help Growthmore Adventures out. We're a little tourism business. They're the big dog in Growthmore, and they said, do whatever they can do to help us out. That was greatly appreciated, by us and, by the staff as well. And it's nice to get those guys out on the bay. Another one for us, Growthmore Adventures. There's a saying in the tourism industry, do what you do best and partner for the rest. we're good at offering experiences. We're good at offering tours on the water, hiking tours. We also do food. We do a basic cafe offering, but we're not great at doing anything fancy, okay? So we partnered. We offered a Zodiac picnic experience. So you get on our big fancy Zodiac, you take your family, you take your friends, we go for a cruise around the bay. We pull up to Galliot Studios, who make these plastic-free picnic baskets. All of the sandwiches and the homemade cookies and the drinks, they all come in these plastic-free zipper, handmade packages in this nice picnic basket. The boat pulls up to the dock. The owner of the business is standing there with this beautiful picnic basket with all of her guests sitting on the dock, drinking a beer or drinking a coffee, wondering what the hell is going on. And she drops the picnic basket in the boat. We pull out and then go to a remote beach where everybody gets off her boat, sits down on a homemade quilt and eats this picnic. It is an epic experience. We couldn't do it as good ourselves. The food element of it, we're quite happy to partner with Galliot Studios to offer that. And as well, there's some other people like Taste of Grossmore. They're offering these big fancy picnic baskets as well. So we're looking forward to partnering with that. Just going through the communication piece again, Visit Grossmore is run through the Grossmore Cooperating Association. It's a marketing branch in Grossmore that helps some of the operators down there. I was a part of a panel throughout COVID where we would get together on a regular basis and chat about what are operators doing, what are hotels, tour operators, craft shops, what is everybody doing, how can we improve Grossmore as a region. And I was adamant at the beginning that it's a lot about communication. People want information and they're not getting it. So I suggested creating this online database that has every business that's open during COVID right now, list their business hours, list their COVID precautions, and services that they're offering, contact information, stuff like that. I just wanted one hub where people can access this information. So everyone on that call was very supportive of it. They developed it through a software called Airtable, which was really helpful. So now you can go to Visit Grossmore, and if you're going as a guest, you want to visit Grossmore, you just go on their website, see what's open, where you can eat, what tours you can take advantage of, what park sites are accessible. And then to add on top of that, because Grossmore operators are so tight-knit, I thought it was an opportunity for us to work together on some COVID, like cleaning practices and screening procedures as well, and that we can put a stamp of approval on it. That when people visit our websites, they visit our shops, then they see this new brand called Grossmore Safe and Clean. Not 100% launched yet, but we're working on it. So you can be guaranteed that if you're sitting in Ontario, or when further places open up, you can be guaranteed when you go to this a business that it has the stamp of approval from Grossmore Safe and Clean that they're following all COVID practices that are administered by the provincial government, and also on top of that, what we decide as operators are important to provide a safe and clean destination for people to travel. Any questions before I move on? I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking here. Carol, Allison?
No, it's excellent, but I will open up if anyone has any questions that they have for Robbie so far.
Is there any bookings available for the Zodiac and the picnic tour?
Not in the next 3 days, but after that, for sure.
I'll definitely be calling. No, it's fantastic. Really, really great to see.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, yeah, it's been really successful so far. It's just a really unique experience. And the part that I thought about that I wasn't expecting to be such a part of the experience is sitting in the boat, pulling up to a dock in a community that we've just arrived in, and the owner waiting there with a picnic basket, putting it into the boat, like just to look at people's faces, and that makes it. And it's not necessarily the boat ride or sitting on the beach, but just that experience, like that partnership, and yeah, just the way people view that is really special.
I think that sense of community comes through, you know, that's part of the experience, I think, for people coming to Newfoundland and visiting, but also for Newfoundlanders. I think it's great that it's really showcasing that.
Yeah, 100%. And then just to go beyond that, like the ingredients that she uses, like a ham and cheese sandwich is not just a ham and cheese sandwich. It has Five Brothers cheese and homemade buns, and you know, they take it to another level. So it's worked out really well.
I think one of the things you touched on, Robbie, which has been, I think, a shift for a lot of people across different sectors, but certainly tourism, is Newfoundlanders and Atlantic Canada does support Atlantic Canada. And Rachel might appreciate this because she spends half her time in Ontario, where I lived for a number of years as well. But I have a buddy who does similar work that I do, and he says, I can't get a gig in Halifax to save my soul. I said, you won't, because you're from Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
I said, you know, I got a better chance getting in from Newfoundland into Halifax than you do from Toronto. I said, but you're probably getting Montreal and Calgary. And he said, well, yeah. And I said, there you go.
Yeah.
So I think that's been a big shift for a lot of people. You know, to shift from marketing, especially for tourism, used to marketing outside perhaps the Atlantic bubble, and now has really had to shift into that. But it's really encouraging to hear you say that Newfoundlanders are stepping up and supporting, which is great.
But one of the best things about this from a marketing piece is it's so easy to market to Newfoundlanders. I mean, what Emily and Christy and Lexi go through to market off of our island here is really complex. And, you know, there's travel trade, there's trade shows, there's online marketing, there's newfoundlandlabrador.com, there's all these properties, places that you feel like you need to be. And then, you know, we lose that market, you know, hopefully temporarily. And then we're just marketing to Newfoundlanders. Like, Newfoundlanders love social media. You know, stuff goes viral really easily. This Staycation NL page, which I have mixed feelings about, you know, turned into a big marketing tool for some people, and also a waste of time for some people. But anyway, we won't get into that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the brand of, you know, the hashtag of staycation, you know, I mean, I think Newfoundlanders tend to travel a bit in the summer anyway, but now everyone is calling it a staycation. You know, whether they every summer went to Grossmorn anyway, but now all of a sudden they're branding it. It's my staycation. It's my staycation. So I mean, that certainly has changed a bit.
Yeah, and I kind of wish that Stay Home Year, you know, would have cut on a little bit more of the provincial government campaign. But yeah, it's staycation. I mean, that's what people refer to it as. So that's the brand, you know.
Yep.
But just so I say it's easier to market to Newfoundlanders, but the other thing about Newfoundlanders is they loves to pick up the phone and give you a call. No matter if you have a big, fancy, expensive website with all the information that you can book online for every single thing that you offer, they still want to call. They want to talk to somebody. So we, you know, struggle to embrace that at the beginning. You know, especially when people call and say, hey, I'm on your website. I'm looking at it now and I have this question that's stated right there on the website. So yeah, we had to change our voicemails to say, you know, to be that like scripted. Thanks for contacting Grossmorn Adventures. If you're inquiring about a tour, please visit grossmornadventures.com for availability and booking, and really try to, you know, push people on our social media feeds to visit the website. But hey, you know, we're getting through that. We love talking to people on the phone. You know, it has more personal appeal to it. It just takes up a lot of time for sure. So yeah, we had to learn a new market. Luckily, you know, with myself and Sam and Ali, we got a lot of experience marketing to Newfoundlanders and, you know, Atlantic Canadians for that matter. So the shift there for us, you know, was welcome from a marketing perspective.
It's Rachel. I have a question. Well, actually, a couple of comments. So, Robbie, thanks for sharing so much about. Is it Grossmorn Adventures? That's the name of the business. Yes. Yeah. It sounds amazing. It's one of my favorite places in the world. And I often talk to my friends about it. And they're always usually the type of friends that I have are global, and they're looking for a little bit more of a higher end experience, right? They're not the backpacker. So I'm glad to hear about, you know, the things that you're doing to really upscale your adventures. And I will absolutely be passing that along to my friends. Another comment I had is, I think also because I hear a lot of the Newfoundland stories, and I'm a little bit worried through the coronavirus about how people are getting a little bit more insular, and maybe not, I feel like we've lost a little bit of that openness and that friendly feel that we usually put out to the rest of the world. Um, so I'm just sort of thinking through a potential new kind of campaign, and maybe, some of the folks on this call are already doing this, but really highlighting those stories that you talked about where folks are partnering with each other. I think that what we want to show from Newfoundland is that, we are a resilient people. That's absolutely what we're known for. And we want to get that message out there, and we want to show how we're helping each other. And we want to show that, when we can, we want to welcome everyone back. Because right now, and I know this personally, Newfoundland has the strictest regulations to get into the province in all of Canada. It's really difficult. And even as a Newfoundlander myself, I have to say, when I am allowed to go back out in the community, I'm a little bit nervous. So, because I'll be driving around with those Ontario license plates, and that's not so great. So the feel in the rest of Canada is, wow, we weren't really expecting this behavior from the East Coasters. So, as someone coming from the outside and experiencing that, I'm hoping that we can turn that around, and make that really different. So I may be highlighting some of these case stories that you just talked about. I think will go a long way to, again, ignite in everyone this feeling that Newfoundlanders are so friendly and open and welcoming.
Yeah, for sure. Good point. I mean, cover up your plates in the meantime, but I think people will be accepting of you.
I've had so many people say to me, I have an extra Newfoundland license plate in my car. I'm like, well, the worst thing is that in Ontario, we have front and back license plates, so I'll need two.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I think at the beginning, just being in a small community, we live in Corner Brook in the off season, and the operating season, we live in North Point. And, the chat amongst tourism operators is, how do we protect staff and guests, but also how do the communities feel about tourists coming in from outside? So, we have these, closed in little hubs, small communities, and then, you see strange license plates driving down the road. So I think initially there was a lot of chatter around town. It's like, oh, I saw a car in town today, had a Quebec license plate. Without knowing anything about that, just the assumption was made that they, ignored all rules and they showed up in Newfoundland and they're on a free for all. But now, I think people, are a little more open about it. They have a little more information to be able to, make better judgments on stuff like that. So that's, just what we're experiencing in the small community. Yeah. But yeah, you're right about these, the good news stories. People need to know more about those things, and we have great experiences every day on our beach down there, and just to see people interacting in a safe manner and people meeting each other from a distance, and still being able to have a good time as a tourist, that's always really encouraging. All right, so I'll just move on. So the next piece is about online content. So much of what we do is create content for people, for their social media feeds, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google My Business, websites. We create content. So if I were to provide, any advice, if you're currently running a business and you're looking at your own social media strategy, online content strategy, the key is to have a strategy, to have a method. Don't just be putting random posts out there because something cool happened today, so you took a picture on your phone and you just flicked it up. Have a bit of a plan. Lay it out. At least a week in advance. If you can get a month in advance, that'd be amazing. So have a content plan. If you offer a number of different services, and make sure you're covering those services, not in a salesy way. It's not like here's service A and here's the price and what gets you for that amount of money. Like, just have content devoted to your different products and services and the experience you offer as a business. And yeah, just lay it all out. I know it's hard. Marketing lots of times is the one department that falls by the wayside, whether you're a solopreneur or if you have a staff of 50. Marketing lots of times is the one that just falls off And that is why, one of the main reasons why Sprout Marketing exists, because people either don't have the time or they don't have the expertise to develop their own marketing strategy and content strategy. We use a bunch of different tools. We have a bunch of different methods. Speaking about one in particular, is to use quality images and video to display what you're doing on social media. So Sam is a photographer. Sam does photography for a number of different businesses. She also has her own personal business called Sam Living. I'll let her tell you a bit about that. But if you're budgeting for marketing, budget for photography and videography. Grossmorn Adventures, every year we hire a photographer, videographer. Most recently, like Tom Cochran, do drone footage of our Zodiac tours. He's expensive. It is worth every cent of it. If you can't do it justice yourself, if you don't have a fancy camera, editing skills, graphic skills, then pay somebody to do it. But Sam is going to tell you how to get around some of that, how to create some of your own visual content. So I'm going to hand it over to Sam, and she is going to offer some advice on that topic.
All right. Yeah, I fully agree. I fully agree to hire a photographer. But honestly, it does cost money, but it can last for a really long time. So the amount that you spend, if you spread that over the 5 years that you get to use the photos from that shoot, it's really not that much, right? Like I was just out doing photos for one of our clients this morning, and I only spent 2 hours with them, and they'll have photos for years to come that they can use, So it's nice to just kind of invest up front and then have that waiting for you anytime you want to start creating some content with some good visuals and stuff. And I don't know about you guys, but the posts that I notice most on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else is when they've had professional photographers come in and do photos for their posts, because those are the pictures that you see and that last, and that have that lasting impression that you want to give across in your content. And you can repurpose it. So something that maybe is a photo that you, or a video or something that you used for one thing, could also be have a bit of a spin on it for another thing. So it's not like some of your photos are just for this one project you're working on. You can use it beyond that for lots of things that you're doing, right?
Sam, just to jump in there too, like I don't want to give the impression that for like all of your online content you need professional photos and videos for. I just think like for certain campaigns, you do need professional photos for certain elements of your business. Just speaking about Grossmorn Adventures, like if you go on our Instagram feed, you'll see some professional, you'll see some photos that I've taken or some of our guides have taken with iPhones and edited them, using some apps and posting them as well. So obviously, if every single thing, if you're posting on social media every day, if everything was professional that you paid for, it would get somewhat expensive. But I think you just need to find the happy medium there.
Yeah, a nice balance. Beyond that, diversifying your content beyond the whole sales thing is really important. Like constantly selling to people is exhausting for your clients and your customers and your viewers. So trying to, throw in those fun little things, like, you do a lot of it too, Robbie, up in Grossmorn Adventures, where it's just like a fun little post about nothing to do with come sign up for one of our tours, but just like, hey, look what we saw today. Did you know that?
Yeah, exactly.
This whale eats this much, and you can just kind of throw in fun facts, or just to give a little shout out, say we're still here and how are you guys today? And post real stuff, even if it's not pretty. And that's another thing where those non-professional photos can come in. It doesn't have to be pretty all the time, because people like real stuff and people like real stories, and people want to get to know you, right? So we encourage a lot of the times our clients to show themselves and kind of give their backstory of, you know, where they came from, how they've grown, who's involved, you know, faces that you're going to see when you come in, or when you, the people you're going to be talking to when you give us a phone call, you know. And I also, we're lucky now with content to be able to access all these tools. You know, there's an app for that. So if you don't think, you know, your photo is really up to par, Photoshop has an app, and you can kind of tweak it a little bit. And or you can go on canva.com and create a little graphic for yourself to post it. Like, we use that a lot to do a lot of different things. There's, you know, a boomerang video kind of is a lot of fun sometimes. Different iPhone tricks, different animation apps to just kind of get some cool content, some different content to stand out. And I think a lot of this came across too during the pandemic, was sharing content. So Robbie, I know that you guys up there share each other's stuff all the time. And when you share for somebody, they often reciprocate. So it's a great way to hit a different audience if you're sharing content from another business and they're in return sharing yours to their clients, right? And their audience.
Yeah, I think that's just one of those ways where, you know, Newfoundlanders wanting to support each other,
Yeah.
you know, virtually by sharing social media content is a great way to do it. And people, it seems like businesses feel really good about that. And it's not something they might have done. It could be a competitor, and they're still sharing their information, which is good because we're, you know, we're all better together.
We're getting a tour of my house now. My computer needs to be plugged in.
Yeah.
This is part of this whole online Zoom meeting things we're starting to do here.
If I can comment about the sharing piece, there's a new craft brewery that opened up in Deer Lake, Rough Waters Brewing, and they created a big map on the back wall where they've got all the different breweries in the province posted. So they're promoting each other, and I think that really goes a long way. And I think that that's how Newfoundland is going to move forward. Newfoundland and Labrador are going to move forward and really create a broader culture of entrepreneurship and really boost the economy. We really do need to support one another and to promote one another.
I always refer to the brewery mentality when talking to clients, because no matter where you go, what city you're in, what part of the world, all the craft brewers are in it together. Mm-hmm. And they all, you know, just going right down to sharing, you know, each other's social media, but just that map is a great example of how, you know, they're in it together. You know, they share information, they share orders of supplies and, you know, economies of scale, stuff like that. Like, that all helps. And I think, you know, us as tourism operators and as retailers and everything else, we need more of the brewery mentality. And this pandemic is one of the ways that that, you know, encourages people to take that step forward to partner.
Robbie, this is Christy. I just wanted to add to the brewery mentality. We were down and visited Ragnarok last week, and they were just prepping their, not last week, it was I guess 3 weeks ago now, and they were just prepping their cans for canning their beer. And that he told us the story where the brewer at Boomstick had the great idea that they have the same canning system, so that if by chance someone has an issue, they can share it. And it just so happened that Ragnarok cans didn't get in time, and they were able to grab Boomstock ones and be able to can their stuff. So it's a really great supportive industry.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think that, yeah, that's a great story. And I think that happens all the time, like sharing supplies. People are really willing, brewers are really willing to help out others.
I just have one more point about content is, now I'm a journalist by trade, so this is near and dear to my heart, but word choice and grammar and writing skills, really work on those. and Allison and I have gotten into these conversations a lot of just like what sticks in people's heads when they see a post and what's not working for them, and what's the one thing that they're going to bring up over and over again, are a lot of these grammar things and a lot of word choice. So I mean, it's easier to get away with it because you can use a lot of slang on social media. but poor grammar and mistakes are usually pretty glaring, and they are lasting in what people take away sometimes. So your message gets lost.
Yeah, that's a good one, Sam. And I think through the pandemic too, it was even more of a focus because there was so much like sensitive language used.
Yeah.
That like, you know, you and I and Ali, how many times are we like sitting down like on the phone, just trying to figure out how to say something for a client? Like, oh no, that doesn't sound right because if we say that, and that implies that, you know, they're doing this, which may not be viewed as responsible.
Yeah.
And another note on that too, we have a blog post on our website called Words Matter, written by our other wordsmith, Ali Johnson. So you should check that out. Words Matter. Ali's a real keener on grammar, communication, as well as Sam. So check that out when you get a chance. Anything else,
I'm
Sam?
gonna throw it back to you, Robbie, unless anyone has any questions.
Sam, there's a comment over in chat about offering a course to allow folks to upscale their photos.
Oh yeah,
So
that's not a bad idea.
Might be another opportunity to give a 101 to us non-graphic folks.
How to use your iPhone.
You know, how to kind of make it better. I know I'm no good at selfies because I have short arms.
Selfies are overrated anyway.
You need the wide angle view on the new iPhone. That'll help.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mentioned that comment because I have some friends and they actually offer paid courses. So, I mean, you may want to consider the paid option, but for folks like us, we'd love to hear you talk more about how we can make our photos and videos more enticing for online.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think we should do that. So I'm going to give away one secret. I'm going to give away one secret that I don't normally tell people. Snapseed, the app. It's a Google app for editing
how do you spell that?
iPhone photos. Snapseed, SNAPSEED. I
Awesome.
use it. Well, I can't say every day because I don't post every day, but just for Gross More Adventure stuff, I use it frequently. Download it, look around at some of the filters. It's crazy, like what you can do with a JPEG from your phone. So that's good start for you, Rachel.
Cool, thanks.
We really are lucky to have apps in our lives.
Yes.
Cool. So I was just to kind of clue up some of my notes here, just going from apps into some other resources. So a couple of these just on a basic marketing resource, and a couple others just on a general business front. HubSpot is a CRM software. They have a lot of good articles, a lot of good blog posts just on online marketing in general. That's a good resource for people. Facebook Blueprint, which is a training tool for Facebook advertising. That is a good one. All of our staff are going to be going through that in the near future. That's a fairly new offering that they're pushing for businesses. So there's like different modules you can pick and choose, like, you know, relating to your industry, whether you're in tourism or retail or, you know, what you're trying to get out of it. There's a bunch of different modules that you can complete, and you can actually pay to take a test and get a Facebook Blueprint certification. So that's what we're going to be all looking towards. And just on a personal, like, business front, there's a couple people that I refer to. There's a podcast called How I Built This with Guy Raz. It's an NPR podcast. It's all about, each show they interview one person or the business partners. It could be Mark Cuban. It could be, you know, the guys who started Uber. The latest one I listened to was the girl who started Supergoop. So some of them are like born and bred entrepreneurs. Some people are just average Joes that have regular jobs that decide they want to start a business, and now they're really successful. So it goes through their journey as a business and how they got to where they are now. And at the end of the podcast, he always asks the same question: how much of your success is as a result of your own skill and knowledge, and how much is as a result of luck? So you get some interesting answers from that. So every time I drive back and forth Corner Brook to Norris Point, I always listen to one of those. They're very entertaining. I've got a lot from them. The other one is Simon Sinek. He's the guy who through the pandemic said, these are not unprecedented times. We've been here before, and it's up to these businesses to pivot, make changes, to adapt to the new normal. You know, he refers to, you know, taxis versus Uber and Blockbuster Video versus Netflix, and he makes a lot of those references. He's a leadership guru. He's got 2 books. One's called The Infinite Game, and the other one's called Start With Why. He also does podcasts and YouTube series. Yeah, he's a legend throughout all this, offers some really good advice. So that's just a couple of people that I refer to. And that's about it for me. Carol, Allison.
Excellent. Thank you, Robbie and Sam, for your thoughts and some real experiences. So it's not just conceptual for us. It's really nice to hear how some of it has been put into practice. I can really appreciate that. I'm going to stop the recording now. We'll open it up to the floor if anyone has any specific questions, and then I'll turn it back to Allison to wrap up.